And Chris, where are you, Chris? Where is she? Behind you? Who drove all the way from Toronto as well to be here. So we really appreciate you coming. They used to be our neighbors in our first house that we had in Ottawa. So they became fast friends. She's a caper, so. But Val would be so happy to have you all here. And you see all the pictures we have, all the memories over the years, so we can enjoy that. I don't know what else to say. It's just been tough. My older boy, he doesn't want to speak. It's a bit too emotional, but Ryan's going to try and say a few words about Valerie. But, we all loved her. We know she's in a better place. Yeah. She didn't want to go on. She was so sick. So, and in the end, we told her that she could go and be with her brother and mother. So,
yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Go over there.
Okay. Thanks everybody also for coming. I know it means a lot to my dad. It means a lot to me and my brother. Mom love this type of stuff. It's no wonder her and Benny became such good friends.
I forgot to thank Benny and Devin.
Yeah, it's just
all the food arrangements and Diana. Diana who arranged all the
Kevin helped out a
everything
ton.
else and the pictures, and it's just hard to remember everybody. So
yeah,
if I forgot you, I'm sorry.
No, it's she would have loved this. She would have loved the flowers. She would have loved the company. She would have loved the music outside, of course, and the photos. So I'm just gonna say something that I wrote. From the first moment that I can remember, I remember my mother laughing. She was deeply authentic and unapologetic. She found joy in each of the moments that ultimately form the sum of a person's life. And we're here to celebrate that person. She would be furious if this was a dull event. If it was, filled with sorrow and despair. I think she'd be looking down at us right now, sticking her tongue out, trying to make us laugh, making funny faces. I think that she'd be going from guest to guest, making sure that everybody here found some reason of good and joy. And I say good, which is a word I think we all would say is synonymous with Mom. So much of what is good about me, I learned from her. She had a generous heart, a wonderful sense of humor. She was deeply accepting, and a hell of a resilient spirit. And she taught me to see good in others and to never give up. And she could teach these things because she defied difficult odds. She had a tough childhood, largely, difficult parents and a tough place to grow up, some poverty. She had an abusive first husband. And she defied those to find herself a person who looked beyond those challenges and saw her, a kind soul with so much love that it spilled out of her everywhere she went. She found my father, a person who at times she didn't understand why she deserved. This only because of her own humility often obscured her to just how beautiful she was. A man she loved despite so much of her life filled with reasons to hide from love. And a person who gave her a life she hadn't dare hoped for in her wildest dreams. And to my dad, I know it's difficult, but you gave her 42 incredible dream-filled years. I want to tell a few stories. You might not know them, you might have heard them before, but even if you haven't, you'll recognize my mother in them. When I was 6 years old, I began to feel sick anytime I went out or I went to school. And what we know now, it was the first signs of my battle with anxiety and mental illness. But none of us back then had the understanding. I certainly didn't have the words as a child to articulate what was going on inside me. And I remember there was several months of this, and my mom had arranged for us to go to the Micmac Mall in Dartmouth. And and to see Santa Claus, which, by the way, only the real Santa Claus was at Micmac Mall. All the other ones, they were helpers. The real one was at Micmac Mall. And I went there, and she had worked out with this guy to have a magic coin for me that Santa Claus was going to give me, and he told me that there was pixie dust on it, and that it was going to take away my feelings of sickness. And I carried that coin with me for 7 years because I was convinced it was magic. And it didn't always take away all the sickness, but it gave me comfort and it gave me hope. And I rubbed it until I don't know what it was, the gold flaked right off of it. These were the things that she did for me, and I didn't realize until much later in my life that the coin wasn't magic, it was my mom. My mom was magic, and she did these types of things for all of us in different ways. She found ways to support me, to understand and to push me, and to make me feel strong. She didn't judge me, and she loved me even when I didn't make it easy. Another memory I have of my mother that stands out today is she learned I had a friend who might not get home for Christmas. And I mentioned to her in passing, I said, oh, my buddy, he might not get home for Christmas, he might be alone. This was unacceptable to Val, right? She in no way was gonna let somebody be alone on Christmas, and she started incessantly nagging me to invite this person over, and she wanted to buy him presents and stocking stuffers, and she wanted to know his favorite food, and she wanted to know his favorite candy. She's ready to drop just hundreds of dollars on a person she never met so that he might not be so lonely at Christmas. And this to me really encapsulates the type of person that she was. She would make friends as easy as you and I just walk down the street. She was genuinely interested and invested and cared for everyone she knew. She knew their hopes, their fears. She knew where they wanted to travel, what was bothering them, what gifts or gestures might be meaningful to them. And I feel, looking back now, that she lived a life very unafraid. She was unafraid of joy or love. She was unafraid of friendship and company, unafraid of hardship, and right up to the end, even unafraid of death. And I wish more of us could live like her, to follow her example and find joy and happiness in the moments of our life. To find reasons to celebrate, to find humor, to dress up in ugly sweaters and happy hats and make each other laugh. And I feel that she left us just when the world needs people like her the most. So, we have to summon the strength to live like her even today. It's the way that we honor and keep her alive. That the lessons she taught all of us continue and are paid forward, so that the light she brought in our lives doesn't fade, but in fact burns bright and eternal. That we drink and we tell stories and we laugh and we hug and we don't mourn. You know, there's an author I really like, his name's William Thackeray, and he wrote, "Mother is the name of God on the hearts and lips of little children." And I read that when I was young, and I thought, he really knows what he's talking about. But I think he got it wrong, because I don't think it's just little children. I think it's big children too. And over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of really thoughtful people reaching out and saying, you know, we're so sorry, here's our condolences, we're so sorry. And they say, we're so sorry you lost your mom. We haven't lost Mom. I know exactly where she is. Thank you.
I just want to thank Norman as well for letting us use the beautiful lakefront property and build just past the Alderman on Rock Road. Valerie's favorite spots from her, and she loved it and really appreciated it, and so thank you.
And it
And also-
was such a gift to me that she loved it.
Yeah,
I don't know if she ever knew that, but it
She
gave
did.
me such a great
sure she
feeling to know that she
Yeah.
shared my feelings about that place.
Her
And
spirit
there
will
will
always
always be a spot for her there, and where her spirit can come and join us. And we're just going to miss her enormously. And I know we're supposed to celebrate Ryan, but there's also a little bit of a time for mourning, and for feeling sad, and for missing the future that we had hoped so much to share with her.
Thanks.
She was a wonderful, wonderful person, and you couldn't have said nicer things about your mom. They just touch our hearts, Ryan. You said it beautifully.
Your place was her paradise. That's what you called it.
Yeah.
Paradise.
It was.
And thanks to everyone who sent the flowers and gave us cards. We'll treasure those and appreciate them.
Ron,
And
I found a little thing I'd like to read because it reminded me so much of Val. Would that be okay?
sure.
It just, excuse me, because I didn't bring my reading glasses. Okay, this just reminded me so much of Val. Come on, get bigger. I thought this was beautiful and something to ponder on. You can shed tears because of your,
Guys, someone come out the door there, so. Don't interrupt.
Oscar.
Someone?
It's Kirk, I think.
All forgetting.
Yeah.
It says, you can shed tears because they are gone, or you can smile because they have lived. You can close your eyes and pray they will come back, or you can open your eyes and be all that they left for you. Your heart can be empty because you can't see them, or you can be full of the love you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember only that they are gone, or you can cherish their memory and let it live on. You could cry and close your mind and feel empty, or you can do what they would want. Smile, open your heart, love, and go on.
That's-
Thank you, Donna.
So we got lots of food here.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
Oh,
Got it.
Funny because
this way.
reading my Bible, I found two passages that reminded me so much of Val. And the first was, I think it was the Last Supper, when all of the disciples were around the table and Jesus took off his clothes and he washed the feet of others. And that to me is Val, how she ministered to all of us in all different ways. And the second one was when there's Judgment Day, when God is separating the goats from the sheep, and the sheep will say, like, when did we feed the hungry? When did we care for the sick? When do we do this? When do we do that? And Jesus says, when you did it to the least one of these, you did it to me. And again, that to me is Val. Val did so much for our family, for since the time when Ryan got his eye knocked out. She was one of the people that she said to me, if you can find Ryan's glasses, I'll love you forever. And that was Val, I'll love you forever. And I think each one of us can hold that in our hearts to say she loved us forever, and she will always love us forever. Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin. Marlene, you want to say a word?
Yeah, I just want to,
Thank you.
I would like everyone to know how Valerie and I became friends, because it was a little unusual, I think. I had remarried in 1993 and moved to Ottawa. And I had moved here on the Saturday, and on the Thursday, I started working at the TD Bank. And Valerie came up and introduced herself to me, and I got a little teary-eyed, and wanted to know what the problem was, and I said, well, I've left all my kids back in Barrie and Toronto, and all my grandchildren are back there, and it's going to be very, very hard. I've never been without them before. And I said, especially my one daughter, I said, she and I are such close friends. She said, I could be your daughter. And she said, and I have two wonderful boys, she said, that would love to be part of your life. And she gave me Ryan and she gave me Michael. And they literally made me get through the hard part of my life of moving here with no one. Because they treated me like a grandma, and she really treated me like a daughter. Sometimes she came very close to getting that wallop up the back of the head. But she meant a lot to me, she meant the world to me, and to me it's like I've lost my daughter. Okay? Yeah.
All right. So please eat some food. Have some more wine. Val will be disappointed if you don't.
And there's a guest book to sign out on the patio. Please feel free to sign that. Leave your memories about.
And again, thanks all for coming. We really appreciate it.
That's right, like just kids stuff this weekend, running around. You're doing okay?
Yeah, right.
It must be tough, I know. Yeah. So everybody, obviously, is overwhelming. Yeah, I'm sure.
Wow.
Good to see you.
Doggy wants food, but no, doggy's not getting enough.
No, I don't see a picture of her. She's quite heavy set and dark with gray hair. Quite heavy set.
Love me, love me, oh.
That's good.